The days of EquiLottery as a horse racing only company are over. We are developing lottery games based on live sports that can be offered today by lotteries. I want to give you a company timeline, but also I wanted to show you the basis for all of our games. It's our IP that's been awarded in US and Canada that roughly cover lottery games based on live sporting events with one major pool and one or more minor pools. So you will see any of the games that we present here are under this patent, under this IP. Quick company timeline. You all got to know me July 2014 for the first time. I know it changed all of your lives. Amtote partnership in 2014. We became NASPL associate members in 2015. IGT agreement on the horse racing game in 2016. Our first racetrack contract in 2017. We rebranded our horse racing product Win Play Show earlier this year. We received Kentucky Lottery Board approval in June of this year for the Win Play Show pilot, which Tom will talk about here in a bit. And just last month, we relaunched the company from EquiLottery to EquiLottery Games. And what isn't officially announced, but I can talk about today, is we've signed our first non-racetrack content agreement with Speedway Motorsports, who owns 8 NASCAR tracks in the country. We'll be delivering NASCAR games through that partnership here soon. So PASPA has been overturned by the Supreme Court, as we all know. But what does that mean for the future of sports gaming, for lotteries and leagues? How do we create a no-risk approach to live sports for lotteries while still catering to the game of chance player and the game style they prefer? See, it's my belief that sports books at a convenience store is a bit of a pipe dream, or at least in this moment. That's a square peg fitting a round hole. What we're offering lotteries is a round peg. So this is how we see sports gaming: as a game of pure chance, as a next big growth category in lottery, as a revenue generator for the good causes that lotteries exist to support, and as a revenue and marketing opportunity for sports leagues and associations. But of course you're asking, isn't sports betting just for people who like games of skill? That's only because it's ever been offered that way. Of course the answer, and Steph Curry agrees, of course not. Lottery players are no more or less live sports fans than any other segmentation of the population. And our studies show that our live sports integration creates 4 times new lottery players than other new draw games. And an independent study that we're privy to shows that a lottery game based on a live sporting event, in a more generic sense, it would increase lottery players by 16% across the country. So our vision, in 5 years, there will be 4 major categories in lottery: draw games, instant play, virtual sports or Keno, and then this live sports category that we're pioneering, again, games of pure chance based on the results of live sporting events. So I'm going to do a real quick primer on Win Play Show for those of you who missed the 63 presentations I've given on this over the last 4 years. We're going to go real quick. It's player purchases a $2 ticket at retail or through iLottery if available. Ticket features 3 horse numbers and names along with corresponding racetrack information, like you can see on the ticket here. All of our games are RNG quick picked at the ticket. That's what makes us games of chance. And then there's a QR code and also a hard link players can download our mobile app. All right, so now I'm going to introduce someone who's become a friend, who's a great mentor. No one I would rather be doing this test pilot with than okay, he's a Packers fan, but other than that, it's all good. No, I want to introduce Tom Delacenserie. Thank you.
I started working on this game with Brad right after graduating from high school, and I think we're finally bringing it in for a landing. No, I actually, in 2017, after meeting Brad in one of these conferences, Brad actually came down to Florida when I was the head of Florida Lottery, and I purposely told my team, I'm not going to influence you at all. I just want you to hear this guy out, and I want your honest opinion. And Brad came down, gave his presentation. Brad left, met with my team. They all liked it. They all thought that, you know, it was a unique game. It would appeal to a unique player. And so I was going to do what I'm doing now in Kentucky then, but I left Florida, went to Kentucky. And then oddly enough, the first person I met, they said, have you ever heard of EquiLottery? And I said, well, in fact, I have. So Brad and I hooked up, and we worked on trying to get something that we could start. Now, why are we doing a test pilot? Well, this is a unique game, and while it takes the same amount of work from our vendor partners, IGT, to put this into the system, as if it were in all 3,000 retail locations, we wanted to see what it would do for two reasons. One was because it was a unique game. Two, because when you launch something that's totally unique, a test pilot's a great way to see if you need to make changes. And if you do it on a small scale, it's not as difficult as rolling it out and then having to make changes. So I asked Pete Ramsey, our head of sales, to recruit 45 retailers, 3 markets. And the reason for 3 markets is that the vast majority of sales in Kentucky come from those 3 markets: Louisville, Lexington, and Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky really is nothing more than the Kentucky side of Metro Cincinnati. So with those 3 markets in play, I know we cover most of the state in terms of the sales. I also wanted it to be reflective of the state. So that meant it had to be a combination of corporates and independents, low volume, mid volume, and high volume retailers. And then finally, we didn't want to do any advertising on this other than in those stores, because it would confuse the consumer. Why can't I buy it here? I can just buy it there. So there's really no media support or advertising other than what will be in those stores. In addition to that, we will advise the consumer of where those stores are, because if they win, hopefully they'll go back to that store or to our office, but they can only collect their winnings at participating retailers. So what I found very interesting was, you know, I told Pete Ramsey, I said, look, I want to do 45 stores, 15 in each market, but I want you to get me a list of 90 retailers, because some may turn it down, some may drop out. So let's be prepared to have 90 retailers, but we're going to settle on 45. I also asked Brad to go with Pete to solicit these retailers, because nobody can speak to this game like Brad can, and I didn't want Pete to be put in a position where questions were asked and he couldn't answer those questions. What we found out, what they found out, was we had no turndowns. Everybody was very excited about participating. As they were explaining the game to the retailers, customers overheard it and said, hey, how do we play this game? How can we do this game? We had one corporation that we just wanted to do 2 or 3 stores with this corporate. They asked if we could do an exclusive with their chain alone, and we said we could not. So those were all very good indicators that this game could do pretty well. So what would we be doing to measure the success of this game? Well, I told Brad we'd do this for 90 days, but if after 60 we want to extend it another 30 days, we'll do that. But we're going to take a look at per caps. And I'm going to look at the retailers that we have. We're going to look at the sales that they have, and from there we'll do the appropriate per caps. And then we'll handicap it based on the fact that there's no marketing that we're really doing with this game, and we'll see how it does. If it does as well as the early results are showing, why would we not want to do it? And that's what I told Brad. That was one of, he was a little disappointed that we were just going to do a test. And I said, well, we have to see what it does. If it doesn't do well, we have to accept that. And if it does do well, why would we not want to roll it out? So We're looking for also a confirmation of what Brad told us would happen. Brad did a lot of research on his own, and he showed us that this game would appeal to millennials. He showed us that there would be a high performance of repeat purchases. So we want to see and validate what Brad told us in that area. And as I said before, if we see something we didn't expect, then we can make those changes before we roll it out. If all goes well, we would be rolling it out to the state, I guess, sometime in the maybe the first quarter, July through September. Worst case scenario, October through December. So that's what our part's going to be. I think that Brad has done a lot of homework. The game has evolved. We've talked through a lot of situations. We think we've got a good situation here. And based on the feedback we got from retailers, early success looks pretty good.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so now let's go into the other live sports games. These are games that are actually available on our website, EquiLotteryGames.com. And I'm getting the wrap up already, which is concerning. Built on the same platform as Win Play Show. These are $5 tickets instead of $2. The horse racing game, of course, is a 2-minute event. These are 2-3 hour games. So we think the longer event time justifies a higher ticket value. RNG Quick picks the tickets. Like the other game. Percentage of each ticket goes to a league or content provider for licensing and cross promotions. Integration into a sports data provider. We have a mobile app for each one of these games that do score tracking, game casts, video highlights, that sort of thing. And then they're all paid out pari-mutually to avoid negative pools due to the unpredictability of live sports such as ties and voided entries. So this is a 10-game parlay team sport game. You see here, this is a sample ticket. In this scenario, I bought the ticket. I got an RNG that the Cubs were going to win, the Red Sox, the Mets, etc. If I bought another one, the machine would choose a different series of teams. Player matches 7 out of 10, they receive a free ticket. 8 out of 10, $15. 9 out of 10, $100. And they match all 10, they win $1,000. That's a 6-to-1 overall odds. As we all know, that's extremely good for a draw game, heavy churn game. Really could open us up to a bunch of different retailers, which I'll go into a quick second. Also could be used for other team sports with a robust enough schedule to support it. If Leslie Badger is in here, that soccer is for you. This is the NASCAR game. Again, we have an agreement with Speedway Motorsports for joint development. And these are a 3-car game. Looks very much like the Win Play Show from its sort of an abstract perspective. You get 3 drivers, field size of 40 cars. Match any of your cars are a winner, you win $10. Match any 2 first and second, you win $200. Match top 3 in any order, $7,500. Match top 3 in a row, $50,000. Overall odds 13-to-1. We also have a golf game that I cut just for time, but a top prize of $2 million, which would be a great PR angle that somebody, by merely buying a ticket, would make more money that weekend than the guy who trained his entire life to win that tournament. I think that's a really nice populist message. All right, so this of course expands the retailer network as well. Paul, this is the last slide. Enhances sports venue experience. There are lottery, imagine being able to put lottery kiosks at a stadium, at a speedway, at an arena. You can sell tickets for the race or the game that day. What does that do for our expansion as an industry? Expands the lottery retailer network into places where sports fans frequent. We've all heard about Buffalo Wild Wings and how they want to get involved in sports gaming. Well, this product suite right here allows you to have a great argument to get into new retailers such as a Buffalo Wild Wings. And then, of course, that's because it's a captive audience already bought into the game theme for some reason. Thank you very much.